Hello and welcome to Antinatalism this week. There was an article, David Benatar, Cosmic Meaninglessness and the Immorality of Procreation by Ali Reza Aleboy and Mohammad Mohabbi from Iran. Their main criticism centers around the concepts that David Benatar had proposed in his book, The Human Predicament. Meaning of life, according to Benatar, can be classified broadly in two different forms. We can ask a question about why I, as an individual, should continue to live. And the answer may be like, I want to take care of my loved ones. We can extend this further to family or to society or to the entire humanity. The answers could be so that we can support our family or we can contribute to the society or humanity and so on. These are all terrestrial meanings of life because they deal with entities limited to the beings here on earth. On the other hand, we can ask why life as a whole matters. For that, it has to matter to someone or something outside of that whole life. This is from the cosmic perspective and therefore called cosmic meaning of life. This cosmic meaning does not actually exist. It does not matter to the universe whether a relatively tiny rock keeps on carrying living organisms on it or not. The article argues that this cosmic meaninglessness supports antinatalism on Benatar's view. First criticism is that Benatar uses dual approach when applying moral values to other actions and to procreation. He does not think that cosmic perspective is needed to evaluate other actions. Why does Benatar overlook the requirement of the cosmic perspective in dealing with moral values, but insists on committing to the requirements of the cosmic perspective in the issues of antinatalism? Secondly, from terrestrial perspective, procreation is highly valuable as there are many earthly benefits of having children. One probable defense could be that other actions can be subject to human moral intuitions, which may not need cosmic perspective. But, says the article, that Benatar has gone against human intuitions in other arguments. For example, while judging the quality of life, he has claimed that most people are mistaken in saying that they have a good quality of life. Second criticism is about ending one's life. Benatar has claimed that not starting a life is not the same thing as ending an existing one. That's because ending an existing life needs other considerations, considerations like the interest of the being in continuing to exist. However, those considerations too are terrestrial. From a cosmic perspective, it does not matter whether one ends one's life or not. And if cosmic perspective is what matters when starting a life, then why should it not matter while ending it? From a cosmic perspective, committing suicide has no difference from continuing life. The third criticism is about the importance of lack of this cosmic meaning. If the cosmos is indifferent to us, then why should its perspective matter to us? If human existence and his activities are unimportant from a cosmic perspective, there is no reason for man to give importance to the lack of cosmic meaning. So, overall, there are four criticisms. One is that if cosmic perspective is what matters, then because of lack of any cosmic meaning and because there is no one else in the universe for which our actions matter, there is no necessity of moral norms altogether. We risk falling into moral nihilism. If Benatar places the basis of human action on the cosmic perspective and avoids adopting a dual approach, then no necessity for adhering to moral norms will exist. The second issue is that of ending existing lives. If they don't make any difference to the cosmos, and if the cosmic perspective is to be considered, then why does it matter if they continue to live or cease to exist? Third is, why should we give importance to the lack of cosmic meaning to start with? And finally, the fourth one is that there is no necessity of antinatalism from the cosmic perspective. If Benatar believes that the cosmos is indifferent toward man and human activities, one cannot insist on the necessity and urgency of antinatalism and preventing the continuation of human generation from a cosmic perspective, because from a cosmic perspective, there is no difference between the extinction of human race and its non-extinction. Now, I just want to say that the original article was in Persian language and I got it translated into English, so some things might have been lost in translation. But nevertheless, I think all of these criticisms have an answer, although I am not going to explicate them here in the interest of time. Another article criticizing antinatalism was on philosophynow.org. The first accusation against antinatalists is that they set the bar too high. Many a times, there are discussions about a hypothetical world where there is no suffering at all. There is just bliss all the time to all the people. To such a world, Benatar has said that we must be indifferent to whether they exist or not because suffering is what matters. This is why the article says that antinatalists set the ethical goalposts forever out of reach. Another argument about pleasure is that most of the times pleasures are just either removal or satisfaction of some deprivation that causes suffering. But the author of this article says this is not always the case, and he asks us to imagine getting a dog and experiencing happiness from his company. He says that there was no previous deprivation without that dog, but the presence of dog can still provide us happiness. Secondly, if every joy is interpreted as relief from a previously unknown suffering, then no experience can ever count as genuinely positive or as having its own intrinsic value. This is merely a kind of epistemic pessimism where negative interpretations are always favored regardless of the evidence. He accuses antinatalists of thinking in black and white binary terms, whereas life mostly contains acceptance of ambivalence. And then there is psychologizing of antinatalists. The author thinks that antinatalists come to antinatalist conclusions because they are mostly alone or lonely and they lack the human connection that a normal social being like us needs. He compares antinatalism to Buddhism and accuses antinatalism of being a philosophical cop out. Overall, it was a poor article. I thought he accused Benatar of many things which Benatar actually does not claim, and also criticizes antinatalism for describing reality. The Times had an article, Birth Rates Are Falling. For antinatalists, that is the goal. It includes interview of 3 antinatalist women from the UK in different age brackets. The article differentiates between practical reasons for why people choose not to have children, like child-free people, and the ethical arguments for antinatalism. Financial instability, childcare costs, career pressures, and sexism are among key reasons women cite for not having children. But antinatalists go further. For them, the issue is not circumstance, but principle. Bringing someone into existence is itself unethical. So it's a brief article with balanced views on the difference between child-free and antinatalism. It includes references to other antinatalists like Raphael Samuel, as well as the child-free financial consultant Jay Zygmunt. But the main big thing is that the Times is talking about antinatalism. That is a very good news. Robert Smith is a famous British music legend and a lead musician in the band The Cure. He has been a big influence on the goth subculture that rose to prominence in 1980s. 15 years ago, in an interview he had given to The Guardian, he had said, "I have never regretted not having children. My mindset in that regard has been constant. I objected to being born and I refuse to impose life on someone else. Living, it's awful for me. I can't on one hand argue the futility of life and the pointlessness of existence and have a family. It doesn't sit comfortably." That was in 2011, so not a news, but this quote was refreshed by the Economic Times of India with the actual quote in its headlines. Economic Times is a leading financial newspaper in India, so it is good to see direct antinatalist quote by a famous musician being printed in it. BuzzFeed, which is a big media company, had an article, "If you are a man who decided not to have kids, tell us why." This is actually a call to action. In a world where having children is widely seen as a must, deciding not to have kids can be an incredibly personal and meaningful decision. We have heard a lot of women share why they have chosen to be child free, but now I'm curious to hear from men who feel the same way. And so you can fill a simple form, mention your age, gender, and location, and submit the reason why you have decided to not have children, if you have decided to not have children. This is anonymous. We know that Russia has laws against those who spread the idea of child freedom, let alone antinatalism. Recently, there was also news about a woman being fined for an old post about not having children that she did not delete after this law against child-free people was passed. In that context, it is interesting that there exists a channel called the Philosophy of Efilism, which makes videos mainly in Russian language. They have uploaded a Russian dubbing of Amanda Suknik's 2016 film, The Efilist, and with the YouTube autodub feature, you can watch it redubbed in English, like I did. There was a Hindi video between two people, Nidhi Arora and Harsh Joshi, who claimed to be anti-natalist. They are anti-natalists to some extent, I think, but they do make a few mistakes in interpreting what antinatalism actually means. There were quite many mistakes they did, but the big one was saying that you can have children only when you are capable of providing that child with adequate resources and care. This is just not antinatalism and can lead to eugenics, which is an accusation antinatalists are tired of defending against. Nidhi also did not understand the suffering aspect of life and kept on giving an optimistic whitewash to the philosophy. I think a lot needs to be corrected in there. I wish I had time to respond to that. But for now, thanks for watching and see you next time.